The City County Council will vote on a proposal that could mean major changes for IMPD. I'll have all the details coming up.
Indianapolis reaches a grim milestone when it comes to homicides. The city's top cop on what needs to happen right now to curb this disturbing trend. The showdown is underway on Capitol Hill. We will tell you what happened on the first day of hearings for the Supreme Court nominee from Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5, streaming now.
Major changes could be on the way for IMPD. Good evening, I'm Amanda Starantino. Tonight, City County Council members will vote on a proposal that would create a civilian majority General Orders Board. That board oversees IMPD's policies and procedures. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum is live outside the City County building with more on this. Megan.
Yeah, there are some strong opinions on both sides of this. Supporters say it allows the community to have a say in how they want to be policed. But those against it say it strips the chief of his power and creates a lack of accountability. This is the proposal that could lead to major changes for IMPD. It adds 4 civilian members to IMPD's General Orders Committee, giving the civilians a majority. The board currently has 3 members, all from law enforcement. Some counselors tell us IMPD already consults with civilian experts and community leaders when creating these policies and procedures. But this would actually give them a seat at the table when it comes to decision making. It's something several religious leaders in our area have been pushing for.
This is something that we believe would be such a huge step toward just bringing that unity and, as I said before, accountability to our police department and helping the community as well as the police departments that serve those communities work together in ensuring that there's a good relationship and that everything is being looked at from both sides.
But not everyone agrees.
That is an extreme deviation from the way any police department operates.
Rick Snyder with the FOP met with some law enforcement officers and their families outside of the City County building today. He says he agrees there needs to be civilian input, but he wants to see changes to Proposal 237 before it's passed. He says not only does it hurt already low officer morale, but it could lead to community frustration as well.
When citizens are frustrated with what's going on, they'll point fingers at their politicians. Their politicians will point fingers at the civilians on the board, and the civilians on the board will point fingers at the police department. And there's no clear line of accountability.
Chief Taylor also weighing in today.
And I'm not against civilian participation in the use of force board or the General Orders Board. I'm not crazy about it being a majority. And I've said that in the past. I think we need to be given an opportunity to see how that works out at a lower level first.
This proposal does have strong support from council. As of right now, 18 of the 25 council members have signed on as co-sponsors to this proposal. Now, I also reached out to the mayor's office today. He was unavailable for an interview, but a spokesperson in his office said he does support this proposal. Reporting live, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
Megan, thank you for that report. And Indianapolis appears to have set a grim record over the weekend. Metro Police are investigating at least 7 homicides that took place between Friday night and Sunday night. The latest deadly shooting happened on Washington Street near Rule Street on the city's east side. That shooting victim was a man, and police say he later died at a hospital. The death gives Indianapolis 187 total homicides in 2020, with 160 of those labeled as intentional homicides by police. That eclipses the previous record of 159 set in 2018, and there are still almost 3 months left in this year.
When you see those signs, you see those things, or you get that inclination that something is not right, we've got to reach out and try to get help, whether that's through mental health personnel or whether it's through your church or whatever. There's got to be a way to combat this.
And Police Chief Randall Taylor also says it is up to the entire community to invest in seeing violence erased from our streets, even if you don't personally know anyone whose lives have been impacted by deadly violence. Now to our continuing coverage of the coronavirus and its impact on Indiana. For the fourth day in a row, the state health department says new cases were above the 1,500 mark. 1,581 new positive tests were reported, along with 6 additional deaths, bringing the total number to 3,568. Since March, more than 136,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus, and more than 2.3 million tests have been administered in Indiana. Kevin Gregory joins us now with our first look at our forecast this evening. And Kevin, it's nice to have you in studio today, but it is gloomy outside.
And that's a good thing. We need the rain, and I've got rain on radar. I didn't start with it right away because I didn't want to shock you at home. We're going to see rain here in 1 second. It's moving quickly, so I don't think it's going to be that soaking of a rain, but you get a brief downpour, 40-mile-per-hour gusts, and we have a big temperature range across central Indiana right now as a cold front moves through. Here's the initial line of showers. We've had some isolated lightning strikes with this, and then behind the cold front, a couple other brief lines where you may pick up some additional rainfall. Notice what I'm mentioning, east, northeast, and quickly, anywhere from Peru down to Kokomo and Greentown, west of Tipton, then into Hamilton County. Just about everybody should see at least some rainfall of varying intensity. We'll take it because for most of us, it's been 54 days since we've seen 1/10 of an inch on any single day. So perhaps that streak ends today officially for Indianapolis. There's the gloom that Amanda mentioned. Steely, gray, overcast sky. Check out the temperature, 77 in Muncie while it is 57 in Lafayette. Transition zone is that line of showers and gusty winds that's moving to the east. 7 o'clock tonight, starting to be in the eastern half of the state, and by 11, out of the state. What comes back in for Tuesday and Wednesday before another big change Thursday? We'll talk about that shortly.
Day one of confirmation hearings for President Trump's Supreme Court nominee just wrapped up on Capitol Hill. If confirmed, Judge Amy Coney Barrett of Indiana would tilt the ideological balance of the nation's highest court, making it a 6-3 conservative majority. ABC's Faith Abube is in Washington with the latest.
Senator Lindsey Graham, chair of the Judiciary Committee, opening day one of the Supreme Court confirmation hearing, acknowledging what Democrats have feared. This is the beginning of a confirmation, not a consideration.
This is probably not about persuading each other unless something really dramatic happens. All Republicans will vote yes and all Democrats will vote no.
Yet still, Senate Democrats seizing the spotlight, focusing on what they say is at stake if Judge Amy Coney Barrett makes it onto the U.S. Supreme Court.
And they're scared, Judge Barrett. They're scared that your confirmation would rip from them the very health care protections.
Democrats using their opening remarks to highlight some of the millions who stand to lose coverage if the Affordable Care Act on the court docket a week after the election is struck down.
Our voting rights are at stake. The right to a safe and legal abortion is at stake.
Republicans firing back, arguing judges should not make policy, but rather make decisions only based on law.
You stand accused of intending to violate your oath before you even take it.
GOP Senator Tom Tillis encouraging Barrett to stay strong through what's expected to be a contentious 4 days of hearings.
Rely on your faith. I know that you're an inspiration to millions of young women in this country.
Justice Scalia taught me more than just law. He was devoted to his family, resolute in his beliefs, and fearless of criticism. And as I embarked on my own legal career, I resolved to maintain that same perspective.
With voters already casting ballots in the presidential election, Democrats lashing out on the timing.
The whole thing, just like Trump, is an irresponsible botch.
There's nothing unconstitutional about this process.
Judge Barrett did bring her children with her today, and if she's confirmed, she would be the first mother of school-age children on the U.S. Supreme Court. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
And you can watch the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation hearing each day on the WRTV app on your streaming device such as Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV. Citizens Energy is showing off its new reservoir in Fishers. Last week, the utility company released pictures of the site showing how it looks right now before it gets filled with water. Today, officials provided a few more details about the project and how it would make things better for customers.
To date, we've had some favorable feedback from our customers regarding really our ability to think forward and plan ahead. and prepare for the future and prepare for this growth so that our community really has the drinking water it needs here in the next 10 to 20 years.
Citizens says the 3 billion gallon reservoir is expected to be up and running in the spring. It will be the largest new reservoir in central Indiana in almost 60 years. Still ahead on WRTV, President Trump back on the campaign trail today, and he's giving himself a clean bill of health, but some question if that's really accurate. A warning tonight, scammers waiting to pounce during the election season, eager to cash in on your sense of civic duty. The number of homicides and the gun-related violence in Indianapolis are among the hot topics our political insiders are taking on, including the pending expiration of the statewide mask mandate. Our Rafael Sanchez joins us with their robust conversation.
Broken what is known as the intentional homicide record already, and we are still months from the new year. Megan Robertson, who will voters hold responsible? Is it the mayor? Is it the police chief? Is it the city county council? Is it the people involved?
Look, I think Joe Hogsett is incredibly lucky that it is not an election year, because if it was, these are record number homicides, record number crime. I think voters would be sending him packing.
The problem is, we got a bigger problem, and it's COVID, and that's the president's fault, because if you look at Canada, you look at the other countries in the world, they've managed it much better. And Indianapolis' biggest problem is COVID.
The city is in shambles here. Watching this, I mean, we've got an entire generation of young people that we're losing in this city to violence. We've got the homelessness issue, open drug dealing downtown that they're finally starting to try to clean up. The murder rate it's inexcusable, and it's a lack of leadership. Joe Hogsett ran as the public safety mayor, and he needs to do something.
What we're seeing is that the pandemic is exposing just these fractures in our society, lack of education, poverty, hopelessness, drug issues. The pandemic is really exposing that.
The statewide mask mandate will soon expire. Joey Fox, should it be extended?
It should. I don't think anybody really enjoys wearing these things, but for right now, it seems to be the best public health tool that we have.
Every state and every place should be wearing masks. It's the number one way to slow the spread of the virus.
Extend the mask mandate statewide, nationwide. Everybody wear a mask.
I think we should go back to, and it's not popular, I know, but I think the governor should really consider going back to stage 4.5 or even going below that. We were doing well as a state, and it just seems like as soon as we went to stage 5, everybody thought COVID was over. It's not over.
They are the best in the business, our political insiders. Our Democracy 2020 coverage continues right now on WRTV.
Our complete unedited conversation with the insiders is posted right now on our website at WRTV.com. And with just 22 days until the final votes are cast for president, the candidates are out on the campaign trail for the first time since testing positive for COVID-19. President Trump is holding a rally tonight in the critical battleground state of Florida. His diagnosis put a renewed spotlight on the virus in the closing weeks of this election as he looks to distance himself from a pandemic still raging in parts of the country. Cases increasing in at least 33 states. Despite his positive test results about 10 days ago, President Trump is declaring himself completely cured despite not proving medical evidence. Now, Twitter slapped a warning label on the president's claim that he can't get the virus and can't give it, saying the tweet contained misleading and potentially harmful information. Trump's opponent, Joe Biden, pouncing on the president, calling his messaging on the virus careless.
As a consequence to his months of overwhelming lying, misleading, and irresponsible action on the part of Donald Trump, how many empty chairs were around your breakfast table this morning? And why? Because of negligence.
The pandemic could be a deciding factor for voters. A new ABC News Washington Post poll shows a majority of registered voters distrust what President Trump says about the virus, and 2/3 say he failed to take appropriate precautions. A warning from the FBI as we head into the final weeks before the election. Scammers may be targeting voters. Officials say scammers are using fraudulent websites and email addresses, posing as legitimate election resources that could easily dupe victims into giving away their personal info or infect their computers with malware. To avoid becoming a victim, the FBI says to carefully check the spelling of web addresses, websites, and email addresses. Oftentimes, scammers use a .com instead of .gov or misspell words. Some other tips: seek out information from trustworthy sources. Make sure your computer and antivirus software are updated. Do not open emails or attachments from someone you don't know, and never give out any personal information via email. Microsoft has stopped a massive hacking operation that it says could have impacted the presidential election. The company says it took down the services behind TrickBot. That's an enormous malware network that criminals were using to launch other cyber attacks, including a strain of highly potent ransomware. Microsoft said it obtained a federal court order to disable the IP addresses associated with TrickBot's servers and worked with telecom providers around the world to stamp out the network. But Microsoft says it could happen again. Even so, the company says its efforts with this incident reflect a new legal approach that may help authorities fight the network going forward.
5:18 and 4:54 days. Most of us had nothing but dust and a little dirt in our rain gauge. That may change today. For most of us, it will. It's not going to be a ton of rain, but there are some brief heavy downpours right near Eagle Creek Reservoir, I-74 and 465, and then anywhere from, just the south side of Hamilton County through Carmel up to Westfield, Noblesville. Here's the broader view. All of these showers and downpours are racing to the east and northeast, and you can pretty much see 1, 2, 3 different bands there, but they're all broken. So in other words, it's just not a solid area of rain, which has been pretty typical. We just had a hard time getting any kind of widespread soaking rain. This is certainly not that, but it is some rain. It's also a signal of a big temperature change, which is taking place right now. Western Indiana in the 50s, eastern Indiana well into the 70s. It's a good 20-degree temperature range from Muncie to Lafayette. 58 in Terre Haute, 74 in Connorsville. The cooler air pushing to the east, and the rain is out ahead of that and a little behind the cold front. Once the cold front goes through, I think we'll have wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour, kind of signaling the arrival of the cooler air. Temperatures, they'll drop into the 50s by the time we get to 10 and 11 o'clock tonight. Skies will clear tonight. The wind will calm down. It'll take a little bit, and temperatures are set the next 2 days to remain above average. But the warmer it feels tomorrow and Wednesday, the colder it will feel for the end of the week. You can see it's quite a slide down to Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday quite cool. Back to sunshine instead of the cloud cover that we had today. Tomorrow we'll have lots of sunshine, and TrueCast helps us with timing and location of precipitation. Nothing in the forecast tomorrow. Sunny skies, temperature by noon at 62. That afternoon high tomorrow, 71. Unveiling the 7-day forecast. Temperatures, as I mentioned, next 2 days through Wednesday are mild. Next opportunity for rain Thursday. We'll call that transition Thursday to much cooler air. We stay in the 50s Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Coolest mornings, Friday morning and Saturday, may well have some frost. It'll depend on the wind, whether we have a frosty start to the weekend. Temperatures around 60 Sunday and another chance of rain on Monday. We're showing some promise. We've got some evening rain now and a couple more opportunities, Amanda, in the 7-day planner.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Coronavirus cases are increasing in nearly every state in the U.S. and new research suggests young adults may be the sparks in new virus hotspots. The details coming up next. This week, you can get a free flu shot at various Community Health Network locations through Friday. Drive-through flu shots will be offered at Community Hospital East from 10 to 3. That's at 1500 North Ritter Avenue. The shots will be given first come, first served basis. You must be 18 or older, and masks are required. As the number of COVID-19 cases climb in most states, the CDC says it is discovering a pattern. The percentage of positive coronavirus test results start going up among those under 25 about a month before a county is designated as a virus hotspot. Dr. Deborah Birx, a White House coronavirus task force member, says the amount of asymptomatic spread is large.
You start to look at these college data, that maybe up to 80% of individuals under 30 are asymptomatic, and we're still getting the data from all of the colleges.
CDC researchers say understanding and tracking positive test rates by age group could help public health officials identify future hotspots and better prevent and prepare for a rise in COVID-19 cases. Hotspot counties are defined as those that had more than 100 cases in the previous 7 days and had experienced increases in cases in the preceding 3 to 7 days. If you can't go to the theater, let the theater come to you. That's just what the Indiana Repertory Theater hopes you will do. The pandemic has made theater going, if not impossible, but today WRTV announced a virtual season for 2020-2021 featuring 6 plays. The first production will be This Wonderful Life, opening in early December. WRTV is partnering with WRTV to film the productions and make them available for streaming. The virtual seasons run through June of 2021. And you may remember this guy from last week. Nathan Apodaca got national attention for his TikTok video showing him skateboarding to work while drinking Ocean Spray cranberry juice. He was on his board because his car broke down, and the video led Ocean Spray to get him a new truck. Well, Nathan got back on his board last night, but as you can see, he had a good reason and a different beverage of choice. Well, Nathan is obviously a Lakers fan. He hit the streets to celebrate their NBA Finals win over the Miami Heat. Not sure drinking and boarding is legal, so we're not certainly endorsing this idea, but Nathan certainly is getting everything he can out of his viral moment. Well, there is a federal protection in place to help renters stay in their home amid the pandemic, but many Hoosiers are still at risk of being evicted anyway. All new at 6 p.m., WRTV investigates, finds out why and what you should know. Finding ways to do things online as part of a practice accelerated the coronavirus. Next at 5:30, how lookalike websites is scamming people trying to renew their license and registration.